This is a model of cranial nerves from our lab. You can see all 12 pairs of cranial nerves with one exception. We are looking at the inferior view of a human brain. So we're looking from below. At the top of the screen is anterior, at the bottom of the screen is posterior, and you'll see that they are all in numerical order. Remember, we're using Roman numerals for this. That entire long white structure is the olfactory nerve 1. The small cut structure, you'll see that there's a number on it to the right side of the screen and no number on the left side of the screen. That's the cut optic nerve. That would go all the way to our eyes. That's optic nerve 2. Optic nerve 3 is not visible in this model, so you are not responsible for identifying optic nerve 3 on models. Trochlear nerve 4 is that very, very thin, skinny, sort of white wire-looking structure. Trigeminal nerve 5 is very short and stubby. It's hard to see on this structure. It's very close to trochlear nerve 4. Where trochlear nerve 4 is long and skinny, trigeminal nerve 5 is short and fat. Now we're going to move close to midline, and we're going to work away from midline. Abducens nerve 6, remember, there's two of them. There's one on the right side and one on the left side. The one I'm pointing to is the one that doesn't have that pre-printed number on it. That's abducens nerve 6. Right next to it is facial nerve 7 as you're working laterally. Right next to facial nerve 7 as you work laterally is auditory nerve 8. See how it's on both sides? 7 and 8 are side by side, like two fingers held next to each other are side by side. Now we're going to work towards the back of the brain, away from nerve 8. Next comes glossopharyngeal nerve 9. Do you see how there's a 1 before an X? That means 1 before 10, and that means 9. Now, when you look at vagus nerve 10, it's hard to tell the difference between these two. I've labeled them on this side because can you see that they each have a different number on this model? There's a little indentation between them. This is sort of like having two hands stacked next to each other. They are different hands even though they look the same. So we're up to nerve 10, vagus nerve. For 11, we're going to go down towards what looks like the spinal cord but isn't quite the spinal cord yet. That's spinal accessory nerve 11. Now for 12, we have to go back up and towards the middle. Hypoglossal nerve 12 is medially located to nerves 9 and 10. Learning the names of cranial nerves and their functions is perhaps the most challenging thing in this particular lab for many students. So I've got two memory tools for you. The first one is for learning the names of cranial nerves. The memory tool that I provided for you goes like this. On occasion, our trusty truck acts funny. Awfully good vehicle anyhow. There's some other memory tools. There's some that are very offensive and therefore very memorable, but of course I'm not going to record those for you. So the first letter in each of these words corresponds to the first letter in the name of the cranial nerve. And here's a memory tool that can help you learn the functions of each of these 12 pairs of cranial nerves. The memory tool I've provided goes like this. Some say marry money, but my brother says big brains matter more. You can change this, you can modify it, you can create your own memory tools. Maybe you want to anatomically substitute for brains some other anatomical part that starts with B. Whatever makes it memorable for you is fine. Realize that S means it's sensory in function. M means it's motor in function. Now that we've used M, we can't use it for mixed, so I'm using B for mixed, which just reminds you it's both sensory and motor, which means mixed.